What is up YouTube, JDC Games here, and last Sunday I was late for church, and for that reason, this week I've been banished to hell. God damn it, but I probably shouldn't use the name in vain because I'll probably just extend my time here.
A few moments later.
You're telling me that just because I said God damn it once, I have to fight through hell to escape, or else I'm trapped in here forever? Well, god damn it, I'm in! Hades is a Greek mythology themed roguelike released on December 6, 2018, but fully released on September 17, 2020, that takes place in hell, where you, yes, you must fight through hell to try and escape the underworld. Like many roguelikes, this game can be completed quite quickly in like 20 to 30 minutes, and less if you're pretty good at the game. However, completing the game is pretty difficult, especially if you're pretty new to roguelikes, like little old me. Now when I said you have to fight through hell, I was lying, I'm sorry. But the one fighting through hell is a man named Zagreus. Zagreus' father is Hades, the god of the dead and the king of the underworld. Zagreus wants to escape the underworld and reach the surface, but his father just doesn't believe in him. I know how that feels, buddy. At first, the story is kinda vague, but the more you play, the more the story gets revealed. So, let's get through the gameplay. We start off at the House of Hades, which is pretty much the hub world of the game. Here you can talk to some characters or eavesdrop on them. Yo, I took a poop in his lunch and he still ate it. Hey yo, what? There's the house contractor who's responsible for repairing the underworld. You can hire him to add decoration to the House of Hades or upgrade areas in your run to make it easier for you. You do have to pay for it though. Oh man, it looks like Texas are the real hell we're trying to escape from. The lounge is, well, a lounge where you can take a break from the ruthless depths of the underworld and relax. Actually, there's really not much to do here. You can give the chef the fish you catch while trying to escape for some rewards, or you can buy stuff from the wretched broker with your gemstones, which is actually pretty useful when you're trying to get the epilogue of the game. Other than that though, that's pretty much it for the lounge. Next is Zagreus' room. In here you have the Mirror of the Night where you can upgrade Zagreus' stats. This is pretty much what you'll mainly be doing here. Upgrading your health, attacks, money earned, and much more. Each ability also has another version of itself, so there's many ways to build Zagreus to suit your needs. You can also look into the scrying pool to see the many attempts you've had, and remember all the suffering you've endured. Just outside of his room, you'll find this area where you can select your weapon before you start your run. And also Skelly, one of the best characters in my opinion. You can train with him by repeatedly killing him, which he wants, so I guess it's okay. You can also choose your keepsakes, which gives some kind of benefit to help you in your run. These can be very helpful enough to clutch a run and help you win it. They can give you health boost, extra damage, better blessings, and more. And finally, just before we start, there's the Pact of Punishment, which is unlocked after completing the game for the first time. The Pact of Punishment is just like it sounds, a mechanic that makes your runs more difficult for some rewards, or just for your pride, whichever you like. This is done in many ways, like making the bosses harder, setting a time limit for each area, enemies dealing more damage. You get the idea. The Pact of Punishment makes things very painful, but very fun and rewarding. Not in game rewards though. Just beating a harder version of the already difficult game feels very rewarding. Speaking of the game, let's get into the gameplay. Your run starts off at Tartarus, an area just outside of Hades' house, which you can see from Zagreus' room. Yep, sure looks like hell to me. It's kind of beautiful though, I didn't expect that. Before the run started, we were able to choose our weapon, which there are many of that are slowly unlocked throughout the game. First is the Stygian blade. It's a sword, and you swing it. Very nice. Next is the Eternal Spear, which is the weapon I mainly use throughout my playthrough. I mean, you got close range and far range attacking. How could you not use this? Plus, when you get that boon that lets you attack fast, this spear becomes ridiculously overpowered. Anyway, this is my favorite weapon, but let's cover the other ones. Shield of Chaos. What are you, Captain America? I mean, it kind of is like him, to be honest. You attack with the shield, throw the shield, block with the shield. Yeah, this is definitely Captain America. Well, it would have been if Greek mythology didn't exist literally hundreds of years before him. The Heart-Seeking Bow, one of my least favorite weapons to use, which is kind of weird because it was my main weapon in Bastion, a game released by the same developers. But in Hades, it just isn't that good. I guess because in Hades I like fighting close range more than long range. I don't have much more to say about the bow. I mean, it's a bow. You shoot it to deal damage. There's not much more to it. The twin fist. Now this is what I'm talking about. I'm about to knock out every damn soul like Gearless Joe does. The twin fists are weak but very fast. Now you think this weapon is perfect for my style. The only problem with it is that it relies too much on close range. As fun as it is to use, going up too close to the enemy just makes the fights more difficult than they have to be, in my opinion at least. It's still very fun to just punch the shit out of enemies though. And finally, the adamant rail. It's pretty much a gun, which who knows how Hades or whoever made this got a gun to work in ancient Greece. But yeah, they've got a gun. It can also shoot bombs, so it's a pretty advanced gun. But I'll be honest, I never use this weapon at all. It's not that I didn't like it, it's just that there are weapons I like better, the spear, and by the time I unlocked this thing, I was too good with the spear to change weapons at that point. But I have seen it be OP in speedruns, so I guess it's pretty good, but not for me. That about covers the basics of all the weapons, so let's move on to the actual gameplay. Attacking. Boom. Quick. Nice. Simple. Bam. You kill the enemy just like in any other video game out there. Great. Okay. You get attacking then. Moving on. Special attacks. Like normal attacks, but special. Ooh. I'm just kidding. Every weapon has its own unique special attack, like throwing the spear or smashing the sword. Specials can also be changed with boons or aspects to deal more damage or just work differently. They're very useful in game, especially when you're using the spear and you're facing an enemy you just hate, so you resort to just throwing your spear repeatedly at him until he dies. As you can see, I'm very good and experienced at the game. Cast, a long range attack you shoot that sticks to the enemy and gives it an effect or deals damage. Not gonna lie, this is kinda useless, so let's move on before someone gets mad at me for not finding this useful. Dashing, either used to dodge attacks or just to travel quickly. You can also attack while dashing, creating a dash attack. Pretty cool. It's also an iframe, so pretty helpful as well. Dashing, very nice. Finally, Zagreus' Call, which is a super duper attack. That's the best way I can describe it. I mean, you got a call from a boon, you use it, there's a whole bunch of damage. Therefore, special attack, but actually special. Okay, those were some very simple explanations of the mechanics Hades has to offer. So now, without further ado, let's get into the areas of Hades. Tartarus, the first area of the game. It's very easy. I mean, enemies are weak and they have slow and weak attacks. I have to say though, the ringers are pretty annoying. I'd just be attacking an enemy and all of a sudden, bam, I'm being grabbed by this infinity gauntlet looking hand. I did manage to beat it in my first run ever of the game though. It is the first area, so I didn't expect much going into it. I did die to Megara, only like the first 5 times though, so don't laugh at me. Anyway, Tartarus is pretty simple, so let's head on up to Asphodel. Asphodel is what I imagine hell to look like. Everything red and on fire and lava running everywhere. This area is a bit challenging at first, but it gets easier the more you play it and get used to it. One thing I found annoying though was fighting Mega Gorgon and the Skull Crusher because their team works perfectly. Mega Gorgon freezes you while the Skull Crusher crushes you. And I don't know why, no matter how many times I face them, I always fell for their combo. The boss in Asphodel, the Bone Hydra, is actually pretty easy. Easier than Megara in fact. I managed to beat it on the first try somehow, which led me to go into the next area, Elysium, with full confidence. And now, Elysium. The hardest area in the game. Who made this and why? Look, I'm not gonna lie, this place looks beautiful, but the enemies in Elysium are the complete opposite. There's the Exalted who have to be killed after being killed, or else they'll respawn and you have to fight them all over again. Then there's the Chariots who constantly chase you around. They're pretty easy on their own, but combined with the Exalted, they become the ultimate pain-giving duo. And also, there's a Soul Catcher who spawns not only a bunch of butterflies who follow you, but also more and more Exalted, causing constant, never-ending suffering. And the boss is actually pretty cool. You fight these 2 dudes, well, one's actually a Minotaur, and they have some pretty fun dialogue before the fights. The Minotaur focuses on fighting you from close range, while Theseus attacks from long range, which makes an overall fun fight. But the rest of Elysium is literal hell. You'd expect Asphodel to be literal hell, but no, here we are in the most annoying area of the game. Hopefully the next area is better. Time for the second most annoying area, the Temple of the Styx. Oh wait, there's a dog here. Hey, that's actually pretty cool. No, you will not distract me from my complaining. You see, this area is different from the rest. You have a wide variety to choose from to select your suffering. Remember the dog from earlier? He's there to guard the door, but he'll let you pass if you give him some food, which is behind one of these doors. And if you pick the wrong door, well, get ready to suffer. Every door is pretty similar up until the end, when you find out if you chose the door with the food, or you're about to experience true pain. One of the main things that will deal major damage is the poison effect, which I think is extremely overpowered. Poison drains your health constantly and very quickly, and the only way to get rid of it is to drink from one of these pools of water or whatever's in there. And when you're getting your health drained from the poison and being attacked by the many enemies spawning around you, things get very messy. If you do pick the right door, however, this area is actually pretty easy. Just watch out for the satyr cultist who tries to poison you all the time. And that's why the Temple of the Styx is the second most annoying. A close second, but Elysium still surpasses its annoyingness. And finally, the last area, the surface, also known as Greece. After all of that, you finally made it. Peace at last. Freedom achieved. And now it's time to... Wait, who's that? So, after fighting through the underworld, you face your final task, fighting Hades himself. Hades is actually a pretty tough boss. The hardest in the game, in fact. I mean, who expected less? It's the final boss. It took me quite a few attempts to beat him the first time. His attacks do some pretty big damage, so you either gotta be extremely good at dodging or have a ton of health. I always pick the second option. He shoots this skull at you which can stick and let him hit you with double the amount of damage his attacks usually would. And if you dodge the skull and let it sit, it explodes. So it's best to just dodge it and destroy it if you can. Okay, so let's say you were prepared. You're good at the game and bam, you defeat Hades. Or did you? Just as you think you've finally done it, Hades stands back up for his last stand. This turn of events caught me completely off guard when I first got to his second phase. So much in fact that I died on like 0.5 milliseconds. Hades' second phase is a lot more difficult than the first one, especially after you're caught off guard because you thought you beat him. How could you do this to me? I thought I won! Not only is he quicker, he's stronger, and he has new attacks which also throws you off a bit. This is the reason why it took me so long to beat the game for the first time. However, once you've practiced enough and tried enough and get through Hades, you finally escape the House of Hades, and more of the game's story is revealed, and nothing goes wrong at all. Just kidding, you're back to suffer more, LMAO. But wait, did I say story? This game has a story? Of course it does. Now let's get into it. So, as we know, Zagreus wants to escape the House of Hades, but we never learned why. As you play the game soon enough, you find out that Zagreus wants to escape to meet his mother, who he's never seen before. Once he escapes though, he finds out that he's bound to the underworld like his father, so he can't last that long on the surface. So then you have to keep visiting her to reveal the full story, 10 times to be exact. Let me be brutally honest here, this gets pretty repetitive, fighting the same enemies over and over just to hear a bit more of the story. Don't get me wrong, it's a good story, but I feel like there could have been a better way for it to be told, instead of just making the player go through the same things over and over. Once you do visit Persephone 10 times, then you can unlock the epilogue, which takes forever. I went for the epilogue because I was like, oh, I'll just do this to wrap up the story and get a happy, wholesome ending. But man, it took so long. It just made the game slowly get more boring and more repetitive, especially after 100 hours of gameplay. And the cutscene wasn't even that good considering all the things you needed to do to achieve it. I mean, at least all the gods are friends and happy again. But could I at least have gotten something more than a, hey, everyone's happy, congrats, here's the credits. All in all, the story is pretty decent, but I feel like it could have been told in a much better and less repetitive way. I was about to wrap up the review here, but I just gotta give some credit to the soundtrack and the visuals. They're so amazing. Hearing Hades' theme when fighting him just makes the fight so much more epic, and the art of this game is so beautiful. Like, how do you even make hell look beautiful? That takes some special talent right there. Also, I want to add, there's a lot more to this game to cover than I did. I just ran out of time and couldn't cover it all. But maybe one day I'll come back to it and make a more in-depth review. Anyway, that concludes my honorable mentions. In conclusion, Hades is a roguelike where you have to fight through hell to escape to the surface, which sounds like a painful experience, and at times it is. But as someone who didn't like roguelikes before playing Hades, this is an amazing roguelike. There's so much variety to how you can build Zagreus, and each area is so cool to look at and play through. The bosses are also very fun to fight, especially if you like a challenge. The art and soundtrack are great too. The one thing I didn't like was how repetitive this game got because of how the story was told. To put into perspective how long it took me, I beat Hades for the 10th time on February 18th, and I got the epilogue on March 10th, nearly a month after. So you can imagine how repetitive and boring things got for me trying to get the epilogue. You obviously don't have to go for it, But I just wanted to see the story all the way through. Was it worth it? Yes. Was it worth 100 hours of my life? Yeah, I'm gonna have to reconsider that one. Overall though, Hades was a really enjoyable experience and a great game that got me into roguelikes, which I really like playing now after beating Hades. Well, I finally escaped after battling through hell. No, 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 please, please, no, no, please. I just want to be happy and free, just this once.